February 4th. I've decided to amputate my foot. No food, 4 days now. If I wait any longer, I run the risk of fading from combined shock and hunger in the middle of the operation. I'm bleeding to death. And, as wretched as I am, I still want to live. I remember what Mockridge used to say in basic anatomy. Old Mockridge, we used to call him. Sooner or later, he'd say, the question comes up in every medical student's career. How much shock trauma can a patient stand? And he whacked his pointer at the chart of the human body, hitting the liver, the kidneys, the heart, the spleen, the intestines. Cut to its base level, gentlemen, he'd say. The answer is always another question. How badly does a patient want to survive? I think I can bring it off. I really do. I suppose I'm writing to put off the inevitable. But it did occur to me that I haven't finished the story of how I came to be here. Perhaps I should tie up that loose end in case the operation does go badly. It will only take a few minutes. I'm sure there will be enough daylight left for the operation. For according to my pulsar, it's only 9:09 in the morning. I flew to Saigon as a tourist. Does that sound strange? It shouldn't. There's still thousands of people who visit there every year in spite of Nixon's war. There are people who go see car wrecks and cockfights, too. My Chinese friend had the merchandise. I took it to go in the Yao, who pronounced it very high-grade stuff. He told me that Li Zhu had played one of his jokes 4 months ago, and that his wife had been blown up, and she turned on the ignition of her Opel. Since then, there have been no more jokes. I stayed in Saigon for 3 weeks. I've booked passage back to San Francisco on a cruise ship, the Calais. First cabin. Getting on board with the merchandise is no trouble. For a fee, we go, arrange for 2 customs officials to simply wave me on after running through my suitcase. The merchandise was in the airline flight bag, which they never even looked at. Getting through U.S. Customs will be much more difficult, Nago told me. That, however, is your problem. I have no intention of taking the merchandise through U.S. Customs. Ronnie Hanelli had arranged for a skin diver who would do certain rather tricky jobs for $3,000. I was to meet him 2 days ago now that I think of it, in a San Francisco flop house called St. Regis Hotel. The plan was to put the merchandise in a waterproof can. Attached to the top was a timer and a packet of red dye. Just before we docked, the canister was to be thrown overboard. But not by me, of course. I was still looking for a cook or a steward who could use a little extra cash and who was smart enough, or stupid enough, to keep his mouth closed afterward when the Calais sank. I don't know how or why. It was stormy, but the ship seemed to be handling that well enough. Around 8 o'clock on the evening of the 23rd, there was an explosion somewhere below decks. I was in the lounge at the time, and the counts began to list almost immediately to the left. Did they call that port or starboard? People were screaming and running in every direction. Bottles were falling off the back bar, shattering on the floor. A man staggering from one of the lower levels, his shirt torn off, his skin barbecued. The loudspeaker started telling people to go to lifeboat stations. They had being assigned during the drill began on the cruise. The passengers went right on running hither and yon. Very few of them had bothered to show up during the lifeboat drill. I not only showed up, I came early. I wanted to be in the front row, you see, so I would have an unobstructed view of everything. I always pay close attention when the matter concerns my own skin. I went down to the stateroom, got the Helen bags, and put one in each of my front pockets. Then I went to the lifeboat station 8. As I went up the stairwell to the main deck, there were 2 more explosions and the boat began to list even more severely. Topside, everything was confusion. I saw a screeching woman with a baby in her arms run past me, gaining speed. As she sprinted down the slippery, canting deck, she hit the rail with her thighs and flipped outward. I saw her do 2 mid-air somersaults with a part of a third before I lost sight of her. There was a middle-aged man sitting in the center of the shuttlecourt and pulling his hair. Another man in cook's whites, horribly burned about the face and hands, was stumbling from place to place and screaming, "Help me! Can't see! Help me! Can't see!" The panic was almost total. It had run from the passengers to the crew like a disease. You must remember that the time elapsed from the first explosion to the actual sinking in the Calais was only about 20 minutes. Some of the lifeboat stations were clogged with screaming passengers, while others were absolutely empty. Mine on the listing side of the ship was almost deserted. There was no one there but myself and a common sailor with a pimply face who was pallid. "Let's get this buckety-bottomed old horror in the water," he said, his eyes rolling crazily in their sockets. "This bloody tub is going straight to the bottom." The lifeboat gear is simple enough to operate, but in his fumbling nervousness, he got at the side of the block and tackle tangled. The boat dropped 6 feet and then hung up, the bow 2 feet lower than the stern. I was coming around to help him when he began to scream. He succeeded in untangling the snarl and got his hand caught at the same time. The whizzing rope smoked over his open palm, flaying off skin, and he was jerked over the side. I tossed the rope ladder overboard, hurried down it, and unclipped the lifeboat from the lowering ropes. Then I rowed, something I had occasionally done for pleasure on trips to my friend's summer home, something I was now doing for my life. I knew that if I didn't get far enough away from the dying Calais before she sank, she would pull me down with her. Just 5 minutes later, she went. I had escaped the section entirely. I had to row madly just to stay in the same place. She went under very quickly. There were still people clinging to the rail of her bow and screaming. They looked like a bunch of monkeys. The storm worsened. I lost one oar, but managed to keep the other. I spent the whole night in kind of a dream, first bailing, then grabbing the oar and paddling wildly to get the boat's prow into the next Vulcan wave. Sometime before dawn on the 24th, the waves began to strengthen behind me. The boat rushed forward. It was terrifying, but at the same time exhilarating. Suddenly, most of the planking was ripped from under my feet. But before the lifeboat could sink, it was dumped on this godforsaken pile of rocks. I don't even know where I am. I have no idea at all. Navigation, not my strong point. But I know what I have to do. This may be the last entry, but somehow I think I'll make it. Haven't I always? And they are really doing marvelous things with prosthetics these days. I can get along with one foot quite nicely. It's time to see if I'm as good as I think I am. Luck.